All right, we're starting Module 13, Lesson 13.1, Calculating Sales and Income Tax. Sales tax is a tax imposed by state or local governments. Okay, notice it's highlighted. This is going to be one of your vocabulary words. It's collected by the seller or service provider. The tax is a percent of the total cost of goods and services. Sales tax rates vary by region, and not all items are taxable. In example 1, tells you that Ray purchases products from a nursery for his yard. The table shows his purchases and the prices. The sales tax is 7.5%. Find the total cost of his purchase, including tax. So step 1, they want you to find the tax on each item, okay? And then step 2 is asking you to add the subtotal and the tax on each item to find the total price, add to find the total cost of his purchase. So basically all this has already been done for you, but I want to talk a little bit about the table. Notice it's unit prices, and so if you're buying 2, then the first thing you would do is multiply your price times 2 items, okay, to get your subtotal. Then try to figure the tax by multiplying 7 by 7.5%, then add the tax back to the subtotal to get the total for just that item. We're allowing you to use a calculator on this module because the multiplication could be tedious. So I want to show you that even though you're using a calculator, you still want to be writing down your work and keeping track and showing us what you're doing in your calculator. So we're going to work together on cone flour. Okay, their price, the unit price is $6.99 per cone flour. He's buying 5 of them. That's the quantity that he's purchasing. So even though you go and you put the math into your calculator so you don't have to, be multiplying all day long, that's $34.95. You're going to write that down. Okay, now we're going to go find out, well, what is the tax on $34.95? We're multiplying by 7.5%. Notice it changes it to a decimal for me, okay, because it's the same thing as multiplying by 0.075. And when we do multiply, notice we get this long decimal number. Well, we're talking about money. We're talking about tax. So money ends at the hundredths place. You have to be sure that just because you're using a calculator, if you don't round correctly, you could still be getting those answers wrong. So we look at the number to the right of the hundredths place. It's a 1, so 4 or less, let it rest. Our tax is going to be $2.62. Well, tax will be added back to the $34.95. So you want to go ahead and clear your calculator and add just the $2.62. So $37.57. So you see how I'm showing you what I'm doing in the calculator even though I'm using a calculator? So that's what we want to see on your paper. We want to see your process. What are you doing? So on the your turn, okay, Rafiq is really still Ray, okay? So he returns to the nursery to buy a second tree priced at $49.99 and 2 packages of fertilizer priced at $12.99 each. Find the total cost of his purchase, including tax. So go ahead and pause your video and you can use your calculator. Find that out. Okay, so $49.99 is the cost of the tree he goes back for. We're going to find the tax on that item. So I'm using my calculator to do $49.99 times 7.5%. You should have calculated that after you round correctly. It's $3.75 for the tax. You're going to have to go add that back to the $49.99. Okay, so when I go add it back with my calculator, I end up getting $53.94. Okay, well now he's also buying 2 packages of fertilizer, so you're going to have to do $12.99 times 2 in the calculator, and you should have gotten that to be $25.98. And then you have to go find the tax on $25.98. So times 7.5%. You should have, rounding correctly, you should have got $1.95. Okay, because here's the decimal. This time, rounding to the hundredths place, 5 or more raised the score, so you should have got $1.95 there. and then you have to add the $1.95 back to the $12.99. So $12.99 plus $1.95. I mean, $25.98. What am I doing? $25.98 plus $1.95 should give us 27. I'm going to write it over here. I'm running out of room. $27.93. Now we have to add the $27.93 to our $53.94. You could do that in your calculator as well. And your total ends up being $81.67. And this should be the same total you arrived at when you tried this yourself. Okay? On calculating withholdings, this is the next section. Most workers pay yearly federal income tax based on the wages or pay they earn. Employers deduct money called federal withholding from workers' wages and send it to the federal government as partial payment of the workers' yearly income tax. Depending on several factors, including the amount... Oh, whoops, I'm sorry, I skipped a whole sentence. Each year, around April 15th, workers submit a federal income tax return. At that time, they may owe an additional taxes or may get a refund depending on several factors, including the amount already paid through withholding. So a worker's pay before anything is deducted is called a gross pay. Okay? So gross pay is someone's pay before any amounts are deducted or taken out. That's your gross. Okay? Your net pay is gross pay after all the deductions, including withholding. Okay? So again, withholding is money that's deducted by the federal government. So to get your net pay, you would take your gross pay minus your deductions. In example 2, it says Quinn's gross monthly pay is $2,050. Federal withholding is 11.4% of her gross pay. Part of her monthly statement is shown in step 2 below. Find Quinn's net pay after all deductions. So this is her gross pay, and it's showing you that here's the federal government withholding, but these are also other deductions like Social Security, Medicare, and it's just letting you know that they take it, it's calculated as percentages. You're going to have to add all these up, okay, and again, remember you can use your calculator to do this. So we're going to add the $233.70 plus the $127.10 plus the $29.73, okay? And so you should show what you're doing, and it's okay if you want to write it. You could even write it horizontally instead of vertically, just letting us know, okay, this is what I did to figure this out. I added up all the deductions. I got $390.53, okay? And that's what they're taking out of her gross pay. So now to figure what that is, we're going to have to subtract. We found the total deductions. That's what we did here. Now we're going to have to compare. We're going to subtract 2,050 minus 390.53. Okay, and you can, again, go ahead and use your calculator for this. 2,050. Okay, so you should have arrived at 1,659.47 if you're working with your calculator with me. This would be her net pay, okay? So, you're doing the same thing on the your turn. You can use your calculator. Please write down what you're doing. Pause your video. Okay, let's see if you're doing this right. It says, Arnetta's monthly gross pay is $4,200. Federal withholding is 16.05% of her pay. Her other deductions total $321.30. Find her net pay. Okay, so this time they totaled the other deductions for us. Okay, we have to find out what the withholding is, and it's, again, it's a certain percentage. It's 16.05% of her pay. So we're going to have to go find out what is 16.05% of. So we can go ahead and set it up as a multiplication problem. You're multiplying by 0.1605, or in your calculator you could have just typed 16.05%. And your withholding amount should have been $674.10. Well, now we have to add that to her other deductions, so $674.10 plus these other deductions that they totaled for us, $321.30. I'm going to do this in the calculator, plus $321.30. Okay, that's $995.40 that's going to be deducted from her gross. Well, this is her gross, the $4,200. So now I still have to go subtract from her gross to get her net. So I'm doing that in my calculator now, and this is the same total you should have ended up with, $3,204.60. Okay, on the other side of your notes, we're talking about how to calculate income tax. Income tax, federal income taxes are based on an individual's taxable income. Taxable income is the total amount of income minus deductions. Okay, so your gross minus deductions leaves you what is taxable. Okay, taxpayers may take a standard deduction set by the IRS, or they may itemize deductions such as property taxes or medical expenses. Income tax is the product of the tax rate and the taxable income.